Count your freaking days, Airbnb. Count your days. There is a reason why y'all are not doing well and people are going back to hotels. So I'm renting out this townhome here in Houston, and the townhome is beautiful. But when I tell you, when I inquired on Airbnb to rent this out for the week, they hit me with about 20 different questions. When I tell you, they sent an entire list of their house rules, when I can play music, how many people I can have here to ask permission. And then to top it all off, they said, we check the cameras very often. Okay, so whatever. I read through all their terms and conditions and I say, cool, I agree. And then they hit me with the, are you sure you read that kind of fast? Like, yes, I can read that very fast. I'm not in the 3rd grade. Anyways, I book. I need a place to stay. And I get here. The first night, the garage door that I parked my car in is broken. It doesn't close all the way. So now, me, a single girl, renting a townhome by myself, anyone can just walk in the garage. And whenever I tell them, they are not urgent about it. They're just like, okay, we'll get someone whenever. Completely nonchalant after they sent me an entire list of the safety protocol. And now, to top it all off, it's Wednesday, middle of the workday, and the power's out. The power's out. Look, nothing.
More cities are starting to shut down Airbnbs, just not allow them at all. I don't like this idea. I'm curious about your opinion, but this is what I saw today. So Spanish court rules against Airbnb. Order shutdown of 66,000 listings. First it was New York, now it's Spain. I know that homeowners don't like it when somebody starts an Airbnb in their neighborhood. They don't like the turnover, potential for things like parties. You just don't know who's going to be there. But as somebody who's been selling houses for 16 years, all I can tell you is what I'm seeing, which is there are a lot of people who have had properties that they were already doing short-term rentals for a long time, and then they get these restrictions, and they get to a point where if they were to rent out their properties on, let's say, a year lease, they feel oftentimes like the risks are more. And of course, the cash flow is way, way less. Where I am in San Diego, Airbnbs are allowed, but there's a permitting process. You're not just guaranteed to be able to Airbnb your property out. Even if you don't have an HOA and there's no like restrictions or CCNRs, you still aren't guaranteed because you have to get a permit and they are really, really hard to get.
What's going on, you guys? So I'm in front of my Airbnb. This is it. Okay. I have my moving guy right there, and he's moving the furniture out. Well, some of the furniture, because it got broken into, but that's a whole other story, okay? I've been doing Airbnb for about 3 years. Yes, it's made me money. Yes, it's caused me to lose a lot of money, all right? And yes, it's caused peaceful days, and yes, it's caused stressful days where I want to fucking rip my hair out, okay? If you're thinking about starting Airbnb and doing it, definitely do your research for your area that you're trying to do it in. I can make like a whole 500 videos about Airbnb and my stories and my experience with it. But yeah, don't just jump into something. I do feel like you have to try things in life to know if you're going to succeed or fail, or to know if it's something that you actually do like. I do heavily believe in trying before just saying no to something, but just don't get so involved and caught up with these Airbnb gurus on the internet that are telling you how good the business is to start, when really they're just trying to sell you a course to learn how to do it, which is actually what's making them money, and not actually Airbnb. So yeah, let me know if you guys want more.
Uber. Yeah, the CEO of Uber, this message is strictly for you. Everybody else can just go right on by. Because I have to ask you a question. How dumb can you be? And in all seriousness, you thought it would be a good idea to basically put a gold star on a bill that the president's trying to pass that devastates the average American.
Shout out to the Uber CEO for saving me money every fucking month, because I just canceled that Uber One membership so fucking fast after I saw this shit.
And that's why Uber is so proud to support this bill.
And just like that, if you were an Uber driver, your income just went down. And just like that, if you were an Uber driver, your income just went down. Oh, you ain't know? The CEO of Uber just sat down on Orange Board and said, we really support your big, beautiful bill. And because of that, people start mass deleting the Uber app, which makes your income take a hit because you needed that $300 to $500 a month it gave you. 17 years ago, I got sick of that. I got tired of people controlling the narrative of how I make my money. When are you gonna do that thing God been telling you to do? God will put opportunities in your life that don't look like what you asked for, but they are everything that you need. Look at what happened to my mama. Her truck got stolen and vandalized. She didn't ask for that, but look at her now. You've been wanting to get in real estate. A real estate agent came across your page. You didn't reach out to him. A bunch of y'all told me, hey, Drea, I want to get my life insurance and investment license. I call you. You don't answer the phone. I'ma think about it. What are you waiting on? The next 20 years of your life will be no different than the last 20 years of your life unless you step out of your comfort zone and do something different. Stop depending on these companies with these CEOs that don't give a crap about you.
My pockets are about to be fat and my stomach is about to be flat. Shout out to the Uber CEO for announcing that he is supporting Trump in his reconciliation bill. Oh, thank you so much. I couldn't delete an app faster. Thank you, Jesus. Oh, hallelujah. Anybody that knows me knows I spend way too much money on Uber Eats. Wow.
Look, I guess the next contestant on the fuck around and find out train is Uber, huh?
Uber just made a fatal mistake. Not only are the drivers quitting, now you're going to have customers who are going to stand in solidarity with the drivers, so they're not going to order through the app. So what does that affect? That doesn't just affect the company's day-to-day. Now it's going to affect the stocks. Anyone who owns Uber stocks are going to lose money now. Now you're going to have to stand before your board members and your stockholders and explain why you made this decision without them knowing before you went public with this.
Because don't nobody want to ride with my regular ass driving for your regular ass because you sitting up there and want to be a motherfucking idiot. That is just stupid than a bitch. I'm so glad I got multiple streams of income. I don't know what to do because that was the stupidest shit you could have set up there and motherfucking did. I wonder why the goddamn app moving slow and motherfuckers ain't requesting rides or fucking nothing. I thought I kept deleting my shit, refreshing in my I started chatting with the chat, calling the 1-800 number. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with my app? Because normally I be getting rides back to fucking back. But you done sat up there and it said that dumb shit.
Okay, hear me out. I just switched from using Lyft to Uber. I don't drive, but if I'm going to pay to ride somewhere, it's got to be nice. It's got to give, this is worth my money. Lyft was given too much of a Rose Park, Glendale vibe. And I want Park City. Tell me why I got in a Lyft last week and the driver's brakes were so bad. We get to the stoplight and the light turns green. Do you know the car jerked? And y'all know what type of jerk I'm talking about. When that transmission is slipping, yeah. And on the back of the headrest, he had the nerve to have a note written on a piece of binder paper with a ballpoint pen that said, "Please tip generously. The tips go to my wife." What is going on with his wife? Is he going home and she's beating him up for his tips? Is she deboing him for his tips for her beer or something? Like, what is going on at home? I said, "Sir, blink twice if you need help." And the man was old. And it gets worse. On the back of his headrest was a value size, Costco size bottle of Gold Bond lotion. And I'm thinking, why would a rider ever need access to this much lotion? Am I going to make it home alive? Are you going to take me to the canyon somewhere and trap me inside this car and I'm going to need this lotion to squeeze myself out of a sticky situation? I say all that to say, if I'm going to get in a janky ride like that and risk my life, I could have just called Rayshawn and asked him to take me up the street for about $15 worth of food stamps.
If these rules were in the general listing that I read, I would not book.
Not only am I going to have cameras watching me, but then I have to clean up the whole house and I got to roll out the trash bins at the end of the stay.
Check-in time isn't until 5 p.m. And then there's a late fee if I check in after 8 p.m.
Airbnb is going away in a lot of markets around the country right now.
So the downfall of Airbnb is starting with slowing US demand. And honestly, it's not even hard to see why. Not only do hosts expect you to leave it spotless, but you also have to pay a cleaning fee. I mean, what's that about? Secondly, people are just getting too greedy. It's so expensive these days. And actually, you can find a better hotel, usually by just going on booking.com. and you don't have to tidy up after yourself. But where I see Airbnb differentiating itself and turning itself around is by offering premium experiential listings. So maybe there's something completely unique that you can't get with a hotel room, and then maybe the host can offer you something unique or locally cultural to add to that experience. That's where I can see it differentiating itself from hotels, which is just book a room and then you do what you want. But would I buy the stock? No, because I wouldn't buy anything where profits again.
Can someone explain what happens to Airbnbs? It's become a place to do chores. After staying here, I should receive my certification as a cleaner. I've had to take out the garbage, change the sheets. This is the most recent Airbnb where I had to squeegee the glass in the bathroom shower. I haven't taken a holiday. I have paid to become a housekeeper. The descriptions and the photos are inaccurate. The number of times I'm getting the place to myself only to find that I am sharing this space with some random host. It's like I've escaped from my share house to an even worse share house. The host isn't there. You get your key from some padlock strung around a random pole. You don't hear a single thing from your host. Then afterwards, you get messages harassing you to give them 5 stars. My expectations of Airbnb are so low, I'm surprised when breakfast is included, and that is literally in their name.
I am officially done using Airbnbs, and I'll tell you why. The main problem I have with Airbnbs is the lack of transparency, right? Because you book the Airbnb, and after you book it, usually close to your stay, you're sent like this list of house rules and things you have to do when you check out and all this stuff. And that's fine. Like everyone, even though I don't personally agree with a lot of that stuff that happens, everyone has the right to run their Airbnb however they want to. So like, for example, if I was to get these rules in advance of booking, I probably wouldn't book. If these rules were in the general listing that I read, I would not book. I don't want to take out the trash. I don't want to strip the bed sheets. Like, you have a cleaning fee. You have people come in and clean the place. Okay. When people take a trip and they take a vacation, they don't want to do that stuff. That is why they're paying to stay there. And at this point, like, I don't want to go through all the hassle of reaching out to the person who has the listing and asking them to disclose all of their house rules and checkout policies in advance of the booking is just too much work. It's too much hassle. It's just too much, and in addition, there's things that should be disclosed, that people should know about. And I know why they don't list it. Is it because it's discouraging to the stay? So, like this recent stay, one of the neighbors had a rooster that would just crow at all odd hours of the night. Mm-hmm. And then we would also have, even though it was a pretty quiet neighborhood, for some reason, starting at like 5 a.m., we would have cars just randomly whizzing by. That would also wake me up out of a sound sleep. And that would be like important information to know, but of course they're not going to disclose that because then people wouldn't want to stay there. So I don't really see any benefit of staying in Airbnbs.
All the extra added fees, you might as well just get a hotel because Airbnbs are becoming not worth it anymore. Tell you 2016 to 2020 was peak Airbnb because I love to travel, and whenever I would go away, I would always get an Airbnb because it was substantially cheaper than a hotel. I haven't booked with Airbnb in at least 2 or 3 years, and that says a lot because I have traveled to many places in the past 2 years. I promise you, just go look at a random Airbnb right now, and then when you get to the bottom total price, after all of the fees that are added, you will just close out of it. Why are you charging me a $260 cleaning fee, but simultaneously telling me that I have to leave the place as it was when I first came? Obviously, I'm going to leave the place decent. I'm not a crazy person before I leave, but what I will not be doing is deep cleaning before I leave when you already charged me $260. What am I paying for the fee for then? How did 2 nights at $525 come out to $1,211.73? Your Airbnb fees look exactly like this. I promise you, baby, I am closing out the tab and looking somewhere else. After what felt like an eternity sifting through Airbnbs, trying to find the right one and reading through all their fine print, I found this beautiful place that I was about to book. Tell me why, because they were just hoping that I hit reserve, right? Something said, just read the fine print and the mandatory fees. Not only are they charging me $200 per day, it's a pre-authorization, basically like a security deposit. And if you leave the place okay, decent enough, they'll give you your deposit back. That's fine, even though it comes out to another $800 that I have to pay, put on my card the day that I get there. I looked past it. I was like, okay, whatever. It's just a security deposit. I'm not going to trash the place. I'll get it back. I'll just put it on my card. Then I see that there's an amenity fee of $65 per night. Okay, so basically $70 additional that is not included on the Airbnb total amount. The Airbnb was already $1,100 before fees. With fees now it's $1,300. But with the additional $70 a night, now it's becoming $1,500 plus. Why are you asking for rent for a 4-night stay? Oh, and valet parking or parking in general is $50 a day. Almost immediately, a $1,000 Airbnb turned out to be $1,500 plus. I just closed out the tab because I'm not doing that with you. You were hoping that I didn't see the fees or read the fine print and just click reserve. And then when I go there, now I'm handing you my car so you could put another $1,200 on it. Be for real.
I just think if you don't do this already, you need to start. Start lying to your Uber and Lyft drivers, okay? And stop wearing your uniform out and your badge on out in public with people when you hopping in these people's cars. Literally, lie. I need you to lie. I don't give a fuck if it's 6 a.m. I don't care if it's 5 a.m. If an Uber driver or a Lyft driver asks you, oh, you work here or how long you been working there? Play that shit off, play stupid. Be like, I don't work here. I'm picking up something. I'm meeting somebody. I'm meeting my boyfriend. Something. Lie. Or I meet my girl. So I don't care if it's a guy. Lie. Because I promise y'all wouldn't believe me if I told y'all that me saying like, oh yeah, like engaging in a conversation with a person about, I lie all the time now. If they ask me, oh, you going to work or this your house? I'd be like, oh no, I'll say that's my dude's house. I'll say that's a friend's house. I don't care. I'd be like, it's just not mine. I don't care. But y'all wouldn't believe me if I told y'all that I actually had a Lyft driver come right back to my house the next day.
Uber just came out and said that they support the Trump administration. So you already know what to do. Delete the app, deactivate the account. I promise you can live without Uber. There's bikes, walking, train, metro, cars, taxis, carpool.
No taxes on tips is, we think, a terrific piece of legislation. It will, if passed, save our drivers and couriers hundreds of millions of dollars in taxes that they would have otherwise paid. So we are big supporters of that.
Have you put a specific number on that over a time period?
It's in the hundreds of millions. I don't know the specifics, but it's significant. And we think it's a appropriately targeted, to a segment of the population that we all want to succeed. And I've been very supportive of that directly with the president and our folks with the staff. And I see generally we engage with every administration out there, both on a federal level and on a state level. We certainly engage with the Trump administration. And what I like in terms of what I'm seeing is that it is a pro-growth, pro-business in terms of kind of common business interest administration, and we'll continue to engage with them constructively going forward.
I will never understand why people book Airbnbs instead of a hotel. So you're telling me not only am I going to have cameras watching me, but then I have to clean up the whole house and I got to roll out the trash bins at the end of the stay?
I'm fucking done with Airbnbs. They're so expensive and they have so many rules. And so I book an Airbnb. Check-in time isn't until 5 p.m. And then there's a late fee if I check in after 8 p.m. And then there's not even self-check-in. So then I have to meet the host for them to give me a keys and to make small talk with me after I've been traveling all day long. And then they remind me to shut off the air conditioning when I go out. So when I come back, it's sweltering hot in the apartment. And then they give me a laundry list of cleaning items to do before I leave. Like, baby, what is that $150 cleaning fee for? And then you give me a 10 a.m. checkout time. Like, I can't even make my fucking coffee in that time. Can I at least brush my teeth?
Airbnb, I officially have beef with you. Thus far, I've had a pretty good experience with most Airbnbs of just it being a good place to stay and having a really honest, kind host and it not really being that expensive until this weekend. Now, this wasn't my booking. This was my friend's booking and it was for a bachelorette trip. Now, mind you, we cleaned this place up spotless after we left, like swept the floors, took out all the trash, and like the cleanup instructions were basically non-existent. It was, I think, just take out the trash and maybe load the dishwasher and that was about it. And it was a pretty big house. It had, I think, 4 bedrooms and one of them being a bunk room. Didn't even say to strip the sheets, didn't say what to do with the linens, nothing like that. We even went as far as to completely sweep the house as well. And mind you, we already paid a $250 cleaning fee on this place. And today, the Airbnb host sends us this. Hi, Carly. I'm glad everybody had a good time. Just got to the house, and it really is going to take a lot of work to put everything back together. I have a crew of ladies that work really hard to keep our houses clean. I'd appreciate if you pay them an extra cleaning fee. I'll request it to you on Airbnb now. I hope you can consider paying it. It doesn't go to the house. It goes directly to the ladies. Now, my question is, if your cleaning fee does not fully cover your cleaning service, maybe you should just up the fee.
I think when Airbnb really started to fail, and this isn't any kind of new concept, people have talked about this before, but I think when Airbnb started to fail, when people started buying properties for the purpose.
These Airbnb hosts are going to ruin it for the rest of us. There's a real ugly trend going on now where we're checking in at 4 and checking out at 10. My friend is coming to Miami and her check-in time is 5 p.m. Y'all thought men had the audacity? It's really the Airbnb host. We do have an Airbnb and it does take the 4 hours that is in between the normal check-in times to clean up the place. But checking out at 10, that's crazy. Some hosts are losing sight of the hospitable part of hospitality, right? Like, it's not hospitable to have me to get out at the ass crack of dawn.
Airbnb is going away in a lot of markets around the country right now. I'm seeing the fucking writing on the wall. We manage Airbnbs in 8 markets right now around the country, stuff that I own, but also for a lot of third-party owners as well as our investors. And so we have a good pulse of what's going on in the Airbnb market. The numbers right now in all the markets that we manage in are tremendously down from 2021 when everyone's on lockdown. People were traveling domestically. No one was traveling internationally at that time. And so if you look at the regulatory environment out there, we just saw what happened in New York City. They just banned short-term rentals. San Diego just regulated. Airbnb is going away in a lot of markets around the country right now. And so as that happens, it's bringing more demand back to the boutique hotels. And so I'm seeing the writing on the wall. I see a lot of people on social media pushing the Airbnb thing right now, pushing their online coaching businesses. I'm like, dude, if you're getting in the fucking Airbnb game right now, I'm sorry, but you're like 5 years late to the fucking party.
Taking a cab right now versus Uber and Lyft. Cabs are cheaper than Ubers and Lyfts, and honestly, more reliable.
It's always like a cycle, right? First, like Airbnb, Uber gets cheaper, like Netflix and Amazon Prime. And then all of a sudden, once they get all the users, they start to get more expensive than what they were originally kind of supposed to be doing.
As you can see, I'm very sweaty right now. I decided to take my lunch break today and just do a quick little walk to Trader Joe's and Back Bay, which really takes like 20 minutes-ish, and then I was just gonna Uber right back, whatever. Well, I go to this Trader Joe's in Back Bay to get 12 bottles of wine, so I just stock up for like a long time because the Trader Joe's near me doesn't sell alcohol. Anyways, this is something I've been doing, but I used to have a car and I don't have a car anymore. I just walked from Boylston Back Bay Trader Joe's with this. I don't even know why I'm picking it up again because thank God I do 8s, because if I didn't, I'd be screwed. I call an Uber and a Lyft, and the Uber is $50. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, it's 10 minutes away. I am not paying this. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna walk. And then I tried to do wait and save. It's like on like Lyft. It's taking forever. Bottom line is, I kept canceling because it was like 20 minutes away, 20 minutes away. I was like, I gotta get home. So finally, I get a driver. I'm like, all right, screw it, whatever. And it was like a $20 ride on Lyft. And then I even clicked for priorities, so it was another like $3, $4. And it still takes them like 12 minutes to get to me. This guy's finally gonna get to me. And I was 1 block away from him and he couldn't understand me, so I call him. He can't understand me. He's like, I'll be right there. He ends up canceling on me. I was like, oh dear heavens. So I walked all the way home.
Has Uber lost its damn mind? I have done this trip before. It's been a couple of years, but Uber wants $80 to get from my friend's house in the burbs to Chicago on the day I need to do it. And I was like, or I could get my friend's kids who can drive but aren't in school to drive me to the Metro and take the Metro in for $6.25 and then pay like the $10 from Chicago Union to my hotel. I could do the L, but like I'm off the red line and it's a lock and I'm not doing that. But like $80?
So a lot of you guys are noticing that when you're paying for an Uber or a Lyft, you're paying a lot more than you used to. But do you know why? Certainly not because drivers are getting paid more from your fare. In fact, in any given fare, Uber and Lyft are actually taking a majority of your fare. Let's just take this one example. So in this ride, the passenger paid $37.81. But if you look at what the driver actually received, they only received 41% of this fare. This means that even though drivers are taking on the majority of the risk and doing the majority of the work, they're not getting paid the majority of the fare.
I'm not sure if Uber takes any kind of health and safety measures for their clients. However, this guy had a dog in a crate with him, and honestly, the whole car was absolutely filthy. I could not breathe. That's how bad the smell was. It was so bad. I had to have a couple windows open just to be able to get through the 30 minutes. There was dog slobber on the windows, and I'm allergic to dogs, so none of this felt good at all. I was honestly so disappointed, and in a rush to the airport, I would have definitely have canceled this ride.
Does Austin have the worst Uber situation out of any airport in the world? You have to walk like a mile from the actual terminal. Then you just stand in a parking lot and try to find your car amongst everyone else who's equally confused.
So guys, I took an Uber trip, and on that Uber trip, I paid $71 for that trip to go from the airport to home. I was talking to the person that was driving me, and I was like, this trip used to be so much cheaper. I'm sure, it being late at night, they probably increased the prices, but I was telling them that it was $45 normally for what I pay. And when I told her I paid $71, she's like, $71? She's like, all I'm getting is $28 from this trip. And I'm like, that is bull. I'm like, that is not worth it. I'm like, I thought they were getting paid more, but Uber, you need to pay your people more, because it was like 20 something miles for her to drive me. And when you think about like reimbursements as far as like mileage, when you think about wear and maintenance and all that, like, we're not paying our people good enough. Because I feel like she should have made at least $40 minimum, but she's getting $28. And I'm like, why is Uber keeping that much money for themselves? I know they have some costs that they need to cover, employees to pay, but you don't need that much money. You're just being greedy now, Uber.
You might not know this, but the Airbnb market on the coast has been crashing out for a couple years now. There have been so many vacancies and so many empty rentals all over the coast, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, that people are starting to freak out, and they are all putting their homes and condo homes for sale. About 3 to 4 years ago, there were hardly any listings for sale under like $300,000 in Myrtle Beach, and now there's like 1,500 condos. I have a reason for this, and I'm going to explain why. And this is like my personal opinion, but I've been doing real estate for over 26 years. I am a team leader for 2 high-performing teams in North and South Carolina, and I've been watching the market steadily, and I also own Airbnbs. And this might be controversial, but I think a whole bunch of people during COVID used their PPP loan to buy Airbnb rental properties thinking they could get rich. Because remember, no one could travel, no one could go abroad, no one could go anywhere, and they had all this extra money. So they were spending it, and they were traveling to Myrtle Beach and Florida and going to all these places. And the Airbnb nightly rates were skyrocketing. There was a shortage of places to stay. So what did a bunch of people do? They bought rental properties, and they had no wherewithal, like no education. They did not know that sometimes when the market is bad for rental properties, that you have to carry the note, the HOA dues, the insurance, everything, the taxes for a while sometimes when you have a lot of vacancy. And I also think lenders are at fault here because they were making loans like crazy just to anyone. If you had 20, 30, 40% down, they just made you the loan. Well, so I've been talking to so many sellers, and they are tired of paying the vacancy. They're barely breaking even in some cases, and people are not, they're broke. Like, look at the economy. Everybody's in a bad place. And now if you travel, you can travel abroad. You can go anywhere you want. So people aren't spending $400 a night in an Airbnb in Myrtle Beach anymore. And it's the nicer units, the more beautiful units that are winning out on the rentals. And so if you have a crappy, junky unit that you paid all the money for during COVID, you're sitting empty. And now these sellers want to sell. They've only owned these places for like 2 or 3 years and they can't sell. They're not selling. They're just sitting. The condos here are sitting for 120, 160, 180 days and not selling. And on top of it, Myrtle Beach had a hurricane like not too long ago, which drove up all the insurance prices. And then a whole bunch of buildings had assessments due to flooding and damage. So these people are having to come out of pocket, sometimes $10,000, $15,000 for an assessment, and their insurance doubled and tripled. And there's no bookings. Right now, the rate's being at, 7%-ish or 6%-ish. That doesn't mean that an investor can get that rate. You got to tack on another 1.5%. So typically right now, interest rates for other investors to buy these properties are probably like in the 8s or 9s. So there is no real push to go buy these places because investors are kind of waiting, and they're waiting for ones that they can get a deal on. They're actually out here making offers 20, 50, 100,000 less than asking. Listen, if you're an investor that can pay cash, you can get a deal. If you own these cash, you're fine because you can probably break even with the taxes and insurance and HOA dues.
All right, so Lyft, what are we doing? So I've always been an Uber guy, but after hearing Uber show their support of this current horrible administration, I was like, all right, that's enough of you. So I downloaded Lyft and used them last night. Honestly, probably for the first time. Well, I'm going to leave my house and get in a car. It's like 9 minutes away. I'm like, all right, not a big deal. Well, 2 minutes away, it refreshes or cancels and gives me another car. So that one's 5 minutes away. Not a huge deal, right? First world problems. So I get there, get to the event. I'll go to leave, order a car. The first one's 13 minutes away. All right, I'm hanging out with people. Well, it gets a couple minutes away, and it refreshes, does the same thing again. So then the next car was like 9 minutes away. What does it 3 different times? So finally, and after the third one, it got to a couple minutes away, and it went to do it again, and I was like, all right, that's enough. So I actually had to get back onto Uber and use Uber.
Bruh, I am fucking heated right now. I'm freaking heated right now. I just got out of an Uber and I was chatting with him and I was like, dude, Uber prices in LA. I'm only going 7 miles and my Uber is $37. He said, they're charging you $37? Guess how much he made? Guess how much he's making? I'll wait. $15. I'm paying $37. My driver's making $15 of that $37.
This is a message for Uber and Lyft. Your drivers have a new game that they play with your riders, and maybe you know it's happening, maybe it's not happening. What I've noticed is when a driver doesn't want to do a trip, they just drive away. So they drive further and further away. They take a route that's literally ridiculous. Like I've got one now, I'm being picked up from Midtown and my driver is driving down the FDR away from me. Clearly he doesn't want to come in this direction to pick me up. So he's driving in the opposite direction. He wants me to cancel the trip. I'm not cancelling the trip. I will definitely not be cancelling the trip. So I message him and I'm like, hey, if you're trying to get me to cancel the trip, you're wasting your time. I'm not going to cancel the trip. And then shortly after, he cancels the trip. You need to do something different for your drivers. Like if your drivers are having difficulty in terms of where they're being sent to pick people up, you need to fix your process so that they don't need to do this, because now you're inconveniencing us, the customers, and that's really annoying. Like if I book a car that says it'll be 2 minutes and then they start driving away because they want to go in a different direction, like that's just a waste of everyone's time. It's a waste of your driver's time. It's a waste of my time. It's a waste of everyone's time.
So I travel quite a bit and I have to use Rideshare a lot. And so I'm always wondering, because I'm a thrifty traveler, I compare Uber and Lyft prices. It's just kind of a standard thing I do. Most of the time it's just like a few dollar difference and a few minutes between the wait times for the drivers. Well, I'm in Indianapolis. Unfortunately, I'm here for a friend's father's funeral. But I have to fly out early morning. My flight's at 7:30. I'm making arrangements to leave the hotel at 6. I'd done the comparison. It should be about a 25 to 30 minute drive. I get on the morning and my default is Lyft. So I just check the Lyft price and I start out at $5.45 this morning. Oh my God. It's $138. $138 for a 16-mile drive. I'm in a panic because Lyft gives you some options that you can do a wait, like go ahead and wait. If I waited 45 minutes, it would be like $75. So I'm like, oh my God, that's not an option because if I wait for that I'm going to miss my flight. So I don't have any other option, but I usually think it's just going to be a few dollar difference. And I go on and I check Uber. The difference was shocking. Uber for the exact same ride from the same hotel to the airport was $35. Yes, people, that was $103 difference. So I Ubered and I got here in plenty of time. Now the Uber guy didn't help me with my bags. That's a whole other story, but check it. Travel tip. Compare Uber and Lyft prices no matter what. I just saved $103.